So it's been a while since I've done an update of my progress through the Analogue Hobbies Painting Challenge this winter. I was originally going to do these weekly, as if. So last time I talked through the work I'd started doing on my Berbers. I'd done some infantrymen and some riflemen. I'd even painted up a goat herder. And I was starting to prepare working on some hill terrain that I wanted to make. And before the challenge had started, I'd been able to start constructing these because you're allowed to do that. But I hadn't actually started the painting until we got to the challenge proper. So the first stage was a bit of a prime, and then on with the top colours. And these are relatively simple to do. Various layers of dry brushing, and then things like grass tufts and extra stones and rocks to make a proper craggy type rocky atmosphere on these hills. And the idea is they're not for formed units, they are for unformed individual figures, to plenty of little nooks and crannies for those figures to stay on there, to give the local Berber tribesmen somewhere to hide, and somewhere to launch an ambush from. The next on the list was some horsemen. Now these were a big project, and I find painting 6mm horses a lot easier than the 15mm variety. I did enjoy painting these, but they did take a long time. So what we ended up here with was 4 units of Berber horsemen, 1 unit with rifles, the other 3 with swords, so they've got to get up close and personal. But they look pretty formidable, and I was really chuffed with the way these turned out. I mean, I may well get some more of these Berber tribesmen at some point, but I'll have to brace myself before I start doing some painting on them. But laid out like this, they do look pretty impressive, and I pity the person that has to play the French Foreign Legion when this lot come thundering across the desert sands. Individual units have their own commanders, so I made sure I found some spare models for them. Although strangely, Blue Moon don't make individual commanders for the Berbers. Then the next project was finally painting up the fort that I bought from Blots. Now this is an MDF building made in pieces, and it can come apart and be reassembled how you see fit, and you can change the layout and the design and so on. So I bought some extra pieces to make this slightly larger, and then inside you had some steps, some ladders that come actually with the model. I put hay, for instance, inside the stables areas, but then I also bought these pieces from, I think they're called Beda. They're resin terrain pieces painted up and put on bases, to put some scatter terrain inside. And this is another one of the extra pieces that I bought, so to give me some extra flexibility. And then, having got the fort done, I moved on to some French Foreign Legionaries, and I've done 4 units of legionaries wearing their white fatigue uniforms. They would normally have their blue greatcoats over them, but these guys are going to be defending the fort, so they won't be wearing their greatcoats. Each section has its own commander, but then I had some spare models, and I made up a overall commander, perhaps a captain of the company or something like that, with his bugler next to him. Painting the white uniforms was more challenging than you'd imagine. And then, of course, I went a little bit nuts and even did dirty knees on some of them. So overall, I really like the look of these. And I'm currently working on some more legionaries wearing their blue greatcoats. And here you have some pictures of them inside the fort, manning the walls, in some lonely desert outpost. Then I worked on some bits and bobs, some small items. So I did some tents. These are from debris of war, just simple resin tents, easy to paint. Less easy was this French Foreign Legionary machine gun. Putting the stand together was a nightmare, but I'm glad how it came out in the end. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Blue Moon don't do any command figures for their Arabs or their Berbers, so I bought these figures from Irregular, same height, just a little bit stockier, but very good nonetheless. So overall, my progress has been pretty good. In fact, I hit my target last week, so I've decided to up my target by another couple of 100 points. Looking at what I have left to paint, that will still stretch me for the last few weeks of the challenge. I may yet increase my target towards the end. It depends how I go. I'm going away for a week next week, so I'll have a week with no painting. So that happens every year. I always go away the February half term, so I'm anticipating a slight slowdown, but I've raised my target nonetheless. So that's it for now. Um, Hopefully I'll have some more progress when I'll do another update before the middle half of the second half of the second half of the painting challenge. It's certainly not going to be the weekly updates that I originally intended, but nonetheless, this is what I've done so far on the Analogue Hobbies Painting Challenge this winter.